is Erica, and today I'm going to be giving you a list of good Halloween books that aren't quite too spooky. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that don't really like thrillers or horrors, or they get scared kind of easily. So I compiled a list of books that I've read that I think are perfect for this time of year. Some of these books are a little bit creepy at times, but they're not quite listed as like horror or thriller novels. To me, they aren't that scary, but I know for some others maybe they are a little scary. But I just really wanted to get more into the Halloween spirit and find more books for people who may not be into horrors or thrillers or just scary stuff in general. So I have a list of books here that I'm going to be telling you guys about, and hopefully you can find something good to finish out your spooky season. Alright, the first book I have for you is a middle grade book. It's actually a series. I think there's only 2 books out. I'm not sure if there's going to be more. I've only read the first one, and that is The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. I read this book quite a few years ago, and I'm sad that I haven't continued on because it's perfect for this time of year, so maybe I should dive back into it. So this book follows a boy named Prosper Redding. He is from this really interesting family, but he feels like he's pretty boring. Like every generation has been really known for something. He just kind of feels left out in that regard, that there's nothing really special about him. Turns out he actually has a demon named Alistair living inside of him. So this demon belonged originally to his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or something like that. So the grandfather broke a contract with this demon, and now the demon has come inside of Prosper to destroy Prosper's family. Alistair doesn't seem like that bad a guy, but he is starting to get stronger, and Prosper has to fight this battle within himself so that Alistair does not destroy his family. They have a very interesting relationship. I don't remember too much about the story, but I know that it's perfect for this time of year. There's even some like little ghosts and stuff, and I really like this book. It's pretty fun, and it's not too scary for people who are looking for a fun middle grade book to read during this time of year. The next one is a book called Nightmares by Jason Segel. This book is also middle grade. It follows this boy named Charlie Laird. His dad has just married this woman who lives in this really creepy, like purple mansion, but it's definitely haunted, and he believes that this woman that his dad has married is a witch. Charlie has never had a good restful sleep. He always has really bad nightmares, and soon these nightmares start coming to life, and basically Charlie has to start fighting these nightmares that have come to haunt him, not only in his sleep but also during the day. I feel like I don't really remember too much about this because it's been quite a while since I read it. I know that it's not very scary. It has some really fun images. It's another great middle grade series to read if you're excited for Halloween and you want to read something spooky but not quite too spooky. Okay, the next series that I have is called The Monstrumologist by Rick Yancey. I've only read the first 2 books of this series, and I remember really enjoying them, but I have never continued on with this, so I definitely need to do that eventually one day. This series follows the diary of this boy named Will Henry. He's an orphan and working as an assistant to Dr. Warthorpe, who studies monstrumology. Will Henry has seen a lot of weird and creepy things throughout his work with the doctor. Then one day a grave robber shows up and has a gruesome discovery that ends up giving them this huge assignment and this big project that they have to dive into and start working on, and it's going to be probably the biggest case that they've had yet. I know I really enjoyed these first 2 books that I read. The second one is called The Curse of the Wendigo. It's not quite like as exciting as I had anticipated it being, but I do want to actually read the rest of the series. I probably will end up rereading the first 2 books before though, but you don't really I mean you have to read them in order, but they're still really fun. They can be a little gruesome I feel like at times, but it is a YA series so it's not that bad, but I did really enjoy this and it's perfect for Halloween. Okay, the next series that I've actually completed, but it's been years, is called The Madman's Daughter. This series is by Megan Shepherd. It is based off the classic by H.G. Wells called The Island of Dr. Moreau. This book follows 16-year-old Julie Moreau, who is just living her best life in London while these rumors are going around that her father has some very gruesome experiments going on. She has not seen her father. She thought he was dead, but then it turns out that he's actually alive and he's been living on this secluded tropical island for all these years. So she teams up with his assistant as well as this castaway that she's like falling in love with. So it's of course a nice little love triangle in there, but she teams up with them, goes to this island. Then she realizes that her dad is a lot more mad than she had anticipated. He's doing these really intense experiments on animals, trying to make them more human-like. One of them goes wrong, and now this beast is like on the island and starts killing people. And so she has to put a stop to his madness and a stop to his experiments. Of course, all this other stuff happens in the series, but I think it's 3 books, and I did really enjoy it. It's not one of my most favorite series, but it's also really good for this time of year because it is really creepy, kind of weird. I'm not sure if I'm into the whole like experiment like science part of like scariness, but I did enjoy it a lot, and my sister really liked it. So again, if you're looking for another creepy series that isn't that bad, I definitely recommend that one. Another series that is actually very similar to The Madman's Daughter is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This book follows 17-year-old Audrey Rose Wadsworth, who was born into a very rich family. She's like the daughter of a lord and should have all this stuff, you know, ready for her, and like she's really into science, specifically forensic medicine. Her uncle has a lab that she spends a lot of time in. He starts getting all these really horribly killed corpses that they have to investigate, figure out what's wrong with them, what happened to them. Then it turns out to be the Jack the Ripper case, basically. And Audrey discovers that this case is closer to home than she had anticipated it being. So it reveals a lot of secrets about her family and their past and everything, and it really changes her life. And there are 4 books in this series. I did enjoy it, but it isn't my favorite. I think I enjoyed the first like 2 books better than the rest of the series. I did like the mystery of the series and I did like the concept of it, but by the last book I was kind of irritated because I felt like it was more focused on the romance in the books rather than the actual like solving of the mysteries and the forensics part of it. So I was a little disappointed by the end, but overall the series is perfect for Halloween, perfect for spooky season, and I did really enjoy it. Another book that I think might be a little bit more on the like horror side, but not really. It is a YA book. It's called 172 Hours on the Moon by Johan Harstad. This book I loved. It follows these 3 teenagers who win this trip of a lifetime to go to the moon, but it's been years since NASA has sent anybody to the moon, and once they send them and once they get there, they realize that they're not alone. A lot of really weird, creepy things are happening. There are aliens on there. Only one of the teenagers survives. It's very intense, but I really enjoyed this book. I read it pretty quickly. I feel like it's good to read it fast just because like it's supposed to take place within a short amount of time, and I feel like it's perfect for this time of year, though it does get a little scary. If you're not into that, then maybe pass that one up, but I do like the thrill of it and the wild ride and the twists and turns that happen, and I did really like it because I love space a lot. The last one I have for you for this recommendation is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. This one I read I think 2 years ago maybe, and I wasn't that impressed with it, but it's pretty good for this time of year, of course, because we follow the story of Frankenstein, sort of, in a very different way. This book follows Elizabeth, who is basically homeless and close to starving. She gets taken in by Victor Frankenstein, and he becomes her world. She has to keep finding ways to make sure that they don't get rid of her, so she becomes Victor's friend while also having to deal with his really horrible temper and a lot of the creepy, dark, secretive things he has going on. So she does pretty much anything she can and kind of goes mad with this because she doesn't want to lose Victor Frankenstein, and yet there's a lot of dark things about him that she has to kind of brush under the rug. There's a lot that happens in this book. I don't really remember everything, but I know I did enjoy it, but I also remember being very disappointed in it because I guess I thought it was going to be darker than it actually was and more stuff was going to happen. It does kind of follow the classic novel, but it also has this more like sci-fi and a new like modern look on it. Not modern, but just like a new take on the storyline. Obviously we're following Elizabeth instead of Victor Frankenstein. That wasn't the last one. The last one now that I have for you is 3 Dark Crowns by Ken Dare Blake. This one is a fantasy. It's the only fantasy I have recommended in this video, but I love reading it during Halloween. It takes place on the island of Fenber. Every generation there's a set of triplets that are born who are basically bred and like raised to become queen. Only one of them can become queen though. They each have a different set of magic, and on their 16th birthday they must start beginning the process of killing each other. So it's very dark. There even is kind of like a weird, not like ghostly side to it, but one of the triplets named Catherine ends up like falling into this hole, and the second book really shows how dark she becomes. So it's a very dark series, and I love reading it during Halloween. I'm not rereading it this year because there are no new books coming out, so I didn't plan on rereading it this year. But I do think it's perfect for Halloween and for spooky season, and I think it takes place more in the winter, but I don't know, I always got a really big like Halloween fall vibe with it. Okay, that is it. Those are all the books I have to recommend to you. These are all books that I've read that I think are perfect for Halloween but aren't quite horror or thriller, that maybe if you guys are interested in those types of genres, that you can find some love in these other books. That is all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a nice little thumbs up. If you want to keep following me on this booktube journey, please subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Erica A. Gobble. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!